And welcome back to The Watchman from Jerusalem. We are talking to Dan Diker and Harold Rode about the latest developments in this region. Before the break, gentlemen, we were talking about the threats, obviously, Iran, Hezbollah, that are gathering, but good things are happening in terms of the U.S.-Israel relationship. Back on track, to say the least. Dan, the embassy is moving in May. Seems like a game changer.
Eric, it is a game changer. It's an historic moment for U.S.-Israel relations. It's the first time since 1995 when the U.S. Congress decided, on behalf of the American people, to move America's embassy to Jerusalem, and only President Trump has been able to actually make good on that promise.
It's U.S. law that the embassy must be moved.
Yes, sir. It's U.S. law. And what's really fascinating here is that the naysayers around the region and in the West said it's going to trigger bloodshed and violence. Look behind us. This is the eastern side of Jerusalem. It's quiet, it's stable, people are working. Jews and Arabs, Israelis and Palestinians are working together. It's the holy city for Christians, Jews, Muslims, for everyone, and it actually has brought the Arab world closer to Israel and has driven a wedge between them and the Palestinians, whom the Arab world is accusing the Palestinians of not getting with the program of President Trump.
Very interesting, Dan. I think that the Saudis, Egyptians, the Jordanians are much more concerned about Iran than they are Jerusalem right now in terms of threats. Harold, you've seen it all working in the U.S. government in previous years. You've seen it all when it comes to the U.S.-Israel relationship. Are we at a new, maybe a high point in the relationship right now?
Yes, without a question of a doubt. But I'd like to just go back to one thing that Dan said, which I think is really interesting. President Trump said, "I've taken the issue off the table." What does this mean? And it's extremely important. The real problem has been that the Arabs have refused to recognize any type of Jewish rights in this land whatsoever. And when he says that they've taken it off the thing, it's like either you accept that Israel has a right to exist in some form or you don't. If it is a question of borders, there's something to talk about. But the other side is not willing to talk about Israel in any form. All borders are illegitimate. And so by taking it off the thing, either the Arabs are going to accept a Jewish presence here, that the Jews have a right to this land in some form, or not. If it is a question of borders, there's something to discuss about. If it is a question of existence, you can't negotiate about non-existence. Yeah. President Trump has made the other side have to come to the conclusion, either you accept Israel in some form or you don't.
Speaking of the Jerusalem embassy moving, now it was encouraging to me to see America step up and fill its role as the leader of the free world and set the tone. Now we see Guatemala moving its embassy, possibly the Czech Republic, other Latin American nations. Dan, could we see kind of a snowball effect here?
I think so, Eric. It's going to depend on which major powers are going to follow suit and follow the lead of President Trump, the United States, and move their embassies to Jerusalem. This will be a snowball effect, a domino effect. The entire continent of Africa is waiting online to see Prime Minister Netanyahu about the technologies that Dr. Rode is talking about. Right. He was the only foreign leader ever to address the ECOWAS in Liberia. Wow. Now,
that was a gathering of African leaders.
The gathering of African leaders, Netanyahu was the only non-African leader ever. And this is at the same time that the South Africans and the international boycott movement in Europe and some on U.S. campuses calling Israel an apartheid state. Well, isn't that the biggest lie in the world? Yeah. BDS, it's warfare. It's something that people of goodwill, American people, have voted down. They've given it a thumbs down, but it's something that has to be mentioned to be wiped out because it's a permanent type of anti-Semitism. It's a type of warfare. But the African people of the African continent, both East Africa and West Africa, are saying BDS is nonsense. It's silliness because we want Israeli technology. We want the Jewish people on our side. We want their water technology, life-saving water technology, agriculture, defense, emergency medicine,
cyber,
you name it.
All of it.
You name it.
Absolutely
so
amazing.
It's an extraordinary time, and I think it has religious implications, as you know, both for Christians and Jews.
Thanks again to Harold Rode and Dan Diker for their great analysis and insights. Folks, Be sure to check out the work of Harold, Dan, and all of the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, great experts at their website, which you see there on your screen. This is without a doubt one of the world's very, very top think tanks and research institutes when it comes to the Middle East, radical Islam, and why it matters to you. Well, up next, my final thoughts on why what happens in the Middle East does not stay in the Middle East. It's The Watchman, it's Kufi, only right here on TBN. Stick around.